Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Friday Reflections by the Teacher Foundation. This is going to be a series of free webinars that the Teacher Foundation is going to offer on one Friday every month, related to a topic that is relevant and sensitive to the times that we are living in. And at the moment, what else can all of us think about in schools? Exams. It's the exam season. So neither the adults nor the students, learners are free to think about anything other than the exams. Yeah. And this exam, and therefore, we are very happy to present the first webinar of the series, which is about exams. Yeah. And it is called Mind Over Marks. Yeah. And yes, and basically we're just going to explore what it is like for all of us who face the exam season every year. Yeah, it is something, it's a reality that has been around for times immemorial now, for so many ages. Yeah, all of us have been through it. And of course, our future generations are also going to get through it. And that is how it happens. But because of the ongoing crisis, especially in terms of mental health of young people and the way marks are perceived, the way exams are seen today, the way success is defined in today's world, and the kind of messages our young people are perceiving and inferring about themselves, about performance, and about success and life in general. It is really imperative for the thoughtful, reflective practitioners like some of us who have, turned up for today's webinar to really kind of give a thought, on what is the purpose of exams, and has anything changed over the past few years when we talk about exams. So yes, so today we are going to explore that, and we're very happy to have with us Dr. Neena David. I will be introducing her in a little while. Yeah, but essentially, she is going to offer her insights and guidance in terms of what it is like, for adults as well as for young people who face examinations, and especially the board examinations, which are very much around the corner. Yeah. But before we get into that, I would like to talk about how are we going to engage today. Yeah. So one, we are going to use the chat to share our thoughts and reflections. Don't stop yourself from typing out whatever you think, whatever you feel about what is being discussed in the webinar today. So do use the chat frequently, exhaustively. Yeah, because we are reading and we are listening. Yeah. Do participate in the pulse check survey. So right after this slide, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Yeah. And these few questions are being asked to just get a sense of how you are feeling and, how the kids are feeling. And, so do participate in that. I'm going to do it by using Menti. So those of you who are familiar with menti.com, keep it open on your smart devices. Yeah, if you're using a smartphone, just go to www.menti.com. Keep it open. I'll be sharing the details in a while, in a little bit. Yes, do subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel and it is free of cost. And there are innumerable resources that are available on our channel. We conduct a lot of discussions, lot of webinars. There's a lot of reading material shared on our channel through TTF Reads, and yeah, and a lot of insightful things out there. So do subscribe and do share it with your colleagues as well. There is going to be a question and answer forum, which will be towards the end. So once the fireside chat with Neena ends, we will keep the forum open for question and answer. So do keep your questions ready. And yes, this is a reflective space We have met today to reflect, to examine, and to not necessarily fix something. Yeah, so we might not find the right answers, but we will definitely strive to understand better. Yeah. So on that note, let's begin with understanding you all. Yeah. So as I said, I would like to check your pulse. I would like to check how you all are feeling. So when you think about exams, yeah, those of you who are in the board years, you can think about board exams, but otherwise just exams in general. Yeah, when you think about exams, what feeling comes up for you most strongly as a teacher? Don't answer yet. What do you believe students struggle with during this period? And what do you think students hear most often from adults during this phase? So you're going to go to menti.com to, to answer these questions. Yeah. The code is 395 46988. 395 46988. I will be sharing my Menti screen as well, so you will be able to see the code on the top. Yeah. But yes, do keep menti.com open on your devices. Yes. All right. There you go.
Hi,
That's the first question.
do you wish to hide your responses?
I have it in there. Yes. I can see 10 people have responded. 0 and 10 people have responded. So come on, everyone, quickly get on to menti.com. You can see on top of my screen, yeah, www.menti.com. Code is 39546988. Great. I can see 3 people have already submitted their responses. 5 have submitted. Great. Those of you who recently joined in, please go to menti.com and type in the code 39546988 and just answer those questions. Yeah. 17 people have responded so far. We have 50 participants. It's about 40 apart from my team. Yeah, I'll wait for 2 more so that at least 20 people, 50% people have answered. Mm. Okay, let me change my slide. Okay, 20 have responded.
You can show the responses now.
Yes. Yes, I'm not going to elaborate a lot, but it is just for all of us to take note of. Yeah, so something that has really stood out is pressure to deliver results. Yeah, which is felt the most strongly by teachers, followed by responsibility to support every student. Yeah, all different kinds of learners at different levels. And that followed by hope and optimism. And right at the end is anxiety about students' future, which is at 3.4. Yeah, that we go to the next slide. Yeah. Go back to menti.com if you exited, or if you're still in menti.com, you will see that the next question has come up. Can everybody please go to menti.com, www.menti.com. Okay, I'll just hide the responses. Yes, people are a lot faster now, which is great to see. 5 of you have already responded. 7, 8, great. A few more. Thirteen, super. 15. Some of you have just joined. I can see that people are still joining in. So those of you who have just entered the room, please go to menti.com, www.menti.com. Enter the code 3954-6988. 3954-6988. You can see that on my screen. And please join in the survey. Yeah. Requesting more people to answer as quickly as you can. Okay, so let's see what it is like over here. The feeling most strongly felt by teachers over here is, okay, it's still changing, but however, pride in students' effort. A lot of teachers have said that they feel pride in students' efforts quite strongly. The other feelings that emerge strongly, but not very strongly because these are just 2.1, 2.7, so they're like kind of somewhere around the middle, yeah, is emotional exhaustion as well as helplessness and lack of control. And there are kind of mixed feelings, which is 3.1. Yeah. So it's neither very strong, but nor, nor not strong. Okay. So moving on to the next slide, which is another important question. And some people have already answered it. But what do you believe students struggle with during board exam years? And you can choose only two. Yeah. The top two in your experience. So based on your experience, choose only two. Great, 16 people have already responded. Superb. 18, 19. One more. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so what do students struggle with the most during board exam years is coping with stress and anxiety, followed by pressure or family expectations. Yeah, and let's go to the next slide. Once again, you have the same question, but a few more options. What do you think students struggle with during board exam years? Comparison with peers, uncertainty about future careers, feeling that marks define their worth, or physical and emotional well-being, which includes sleep, appetite, loneliness, feelings of depression. Good. Again, 14 people have already responded. 15. Oh, great. Let's see. What is everyone saying? All right. So we can see that feeling that marks define their worth really stands out. That is what students struggle with the most, followed by uncertainty about future careers as well as physical and emotional health, which is at the same level. Yeah? And very close, finishing very close. Again, at the same level is comparison with peers. Yeah, great. So my last question to all of you is this. Yeah, what are some of the messages students commonly hear from adults during exams? Yeah, and common message. And I would like you all to be as authentic, as verbatim as you can. For example, something commonly heard is this exam decides your future. Yeah. So, yeah, what are these messages that intentionally, unintentionally, they might be well-meaning, but they have been passed on since generations, or there are some new messages that students are receiving these days from their uh, from their teachers, from their parents. Yes, I can see one person has already responded. Yeah, I'm going to show these. Okay. You have to make us proud. This is a turning point in your life. You have board exams in some time. Focus on your studies and don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Your score will help you in your placement. Positive, give your best, sleep and rest. Well, negative, don't waste time. This mobile addiction will get you nowhere in life. Just study and ace the exams. Don't let your sister down. This is most important year. After this, you can do anything you want. For now, focus on your studies. achieve 100 on 100 in subject, achieve distinction, achieve first class, study and study only. Don't get up until you finish the portions. After exams, you can think of the rest. The focus now is to score well. There will not be another chance. This is your future, your life. Study well. This is very important for your future. Concentrate on exam. You won't get admission in any good college without good marks. Comparison with neighbor child. Don't waste time. Keep your mobile aside. You will spoil your future. Whether they are well prepared. Study well. This is very important for your future. This is the time to prove yourself. Yeah, concerned about marks. All right. Okay. Great. So thank you so much, all of you, for sharing your authentic responses. And that brings us to today's discussion, which is going to be about, how to deal with exams. And therefore, this conversation really matters because exams do matter. So we are not here in this room because they don't matter. They matter. Effort and discipline matters. But pressure today looks different from what it did before. Students, teachers, and families all carry invisible loads. So therefore, we are in the room to have a fireside chat with Dr. Neena David. So it's a pleasure for me to introduce her. Neena is a certified clinical psychologist with over 25 years of experience working with children, adolescents, adults, and families. She heads the counseling services at Malayaditi International School and has played a key role in building mental health and learning support systems in schools. She has served on national advisory boards, including TTF's pioneering nationwide study on social and emotional learning. Dr. David is a visiting faculty at National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad, and holds an MPhil from NIMHANS, Bangalore, and a PhD from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. So with that, a very warm welcome to Neena. And hello, Neena.
Hello, Manila. Thank you. And thank you to the Teacher Foundation team for having me here. It always has a special place in my heart. So good to be associated with this. Thank you for having me here.
We've been very lucky to, have you as on our advisory board, and as well as, always been around to guide us. So Dr. Neena, my first question to you would be, about the messages that young people receive about exams. Some of these messages have been around forever, but do you think over the last few years, anything has changed? Has the messaging about exams changed in any way?
Yeah, I think it's actually such a loaded question in terms of the number of factors really that are involved in there. And I'm thinking that I'm just going back to us growing up and kids, in the 80s. So I'm kind of dating ourselves to where we started school. I think the messaging around the importance of exams was always something that has been there. But the sense clearly that we're getting right now is that it seems to have gotten a lot more strident. It seems to have gotten a lot more harsh and a lot louder than what any of us can remember in our growing back. And I'm wondering whether a lot of this has to do with what happened in India as a consequence of economic changes. When we're looking at the 90s and with Manmohan Singh's liberalization and all of those changes coming in, what it began to signal for our population is that if you were able to rise to a particular level with where you were economically, it could shift. It could shift a lot of realities for you, from your social status to where you are economically, your quality of life, and so on. And what was underpinning that change was how you did academically, because that ensured a particular seat somewhere in a place of learning, and that translated into future success, right? So the possibilities opened up as a nation with what you could do if you had academic success kind of pushing you along. Yeah. So I feel like from then onwards, the noise, the heat and dust around the fact that everything, your success, is pegged around this board exam and how you're going to do, has just become very anchored in our collective consciousness. And that's what we seem to be pushing right down. And I feel it begins in elementary. It's like a distant drum beat, that sounds that gets started when you enter, and it gets a little louder when you're in middle school, and it's definitely maxed out. By the time you're ending grade 8, you have schools that determine how many of our students can pass. And if that's not going to look like a shiny number for us as a school, then that student is asked to leave, and so on, right? So by the end of grade 8, the volume is set at max in terms of messaging around success, expectation, achievement for all of these kids.
So I really like the analogy that you use, the drum beat, how it just gets louder as you get closer. So I would then infer, Neena, that not much has really changed in terms of messaging, but probably a lot has changed in terms of our economy, our ecosystem, in terms of, new opportunities opening up, new careers opening up, and therefore, should the, spotlight on board exam results be so much? I mean, is it real? Is it still demanded so much by colleges? Is it really paid that much attention when you go out to get jobs? So that's my next question, that how much the world of work, career, and success has really changed today, and what realities challenge these age-old narrative, about board exams?
Yeah, great question, Monila. I'm thinking that I think why it's so stubbornly persistent as a narrative is also because of an inherent simplicity, I think, in the model, that there is a linearity of success. So you study hard in school, and then you get your opening into college, and then you get a job, and then there is economic success, and that equals a happy life. Yeah, so it's a very flat-lined kind of way of seeing the world, and it's definitely less complicated than what we are faced with today, where we recognize that, yes, hard work is important, but we're also recognizing that hard work is not everything. That merit is important, but merit is not going to get you everywhere. And there is unfairness and there is inequity present across all our economies. Yeah. So I feel that is why we stay with what we know and what is feeling safe and predictable. But some parts of ourselves are recognizing that things around us are changing, and changing very, very rapidly. So, in response to your question, is that still important? Is that the metric for students getting in? Unfortunately, for quite a few colleges, that continues to be a single defining metric for entry into colleges, because it is convenient. It is a quantified number. And when we have the largest population of students in the world, you're trying to figure out what would be efficient ways of funneling down how many students then are moving into college and university systems. So does this become a matter of convenience then in how we're going about offering higher education to students? That's one thing. And what then allows us to move from these zones of just convenience. It's convenient for me to just look at scores and take the top 10, take that top creamy layer, and offer admission. So hopefully we change some of those narratives around what's convenient. I'm also just going into what's coming with the world of work and the fact that things are changing. And my context is the World Economic Forum that recently concluded at Davos, and one of the things that they brought out was this future of jobs report, and where they mentioned that by 2030 we have 60% of our workforce that is going to require skill sets, and almost 63% of major employers across this world have said that there is a big skill gap between the training or the learning that students are coming in with versus what the job requires of them. So there is that gap. And what they are hopeful for is the development of the ability for a child to demonstrate a learning to learn, a willingness to learn, and an ability to do that. So analytical skills still rank the highest, but under that, there's creativity, there's resilience, there's flexibility. And these are the skill sets that are being required in future jobs. And our degrees, unfortunately, are currently not keeping pace with the jobs and the skill sets that they require. Yeah, so things are changing very rapidly. But what what was heartwarming about this report is that the core worker skills were still human centric, but they are definitely not about can you follow instructions and can you figure out rote learning, and is that the only thing that you're going to be good at. That was no longer what was going to be relevant anymore in 5 years down the line.
Yes, and learning to learn is also an essential life skill, which we've kind of we've defined it even in the India glossary of life skills. So some of, you can check out maybe after the webinar what India glossary of life skills is all about. It is something that TTF developed, but yeah, and it also emerged as an essential skill, as you pointed out, Neena, rather than, skills to just remember instructions or just follow the instructions. So, but in all of this, Neena, so one thing is for sure that, the economy, the job market, it definitely needs, people with more diverse set of skills. And these diverse set of skills cannot be developed if, classrooms are only catering to the cognitive development, and even in cognitive development only to memory based learning, rather than cognitive flexibility or creativity, right? So but what probably sometimes is also lost is the teacher's voice in this. Yeah, because very often what we expect, the people, or who we expect from to develop skills of young people essentially are the ones in the classroom who are the teachers. Yeah, and in all of this narrative, what kind of pressure do you think teachers face, Neena, and how do you think they are kind of negotiating this or influencing the narrative around exam? And as some of the teachers in the room are also already asking, how can teachers really manage parents' expectations? So yeah, I would just like you to answer more in terms of, can teachers really change, influence, or do they often succumb to the idea of fulfilling expectations and managing expectations?
Yeah. Those are such lovely questions, Manila, and I'm just reflecting back on the survey that you did when you tapped in, and I think the highest thing there was feeling pride in student achievements, and I think the next one was a mixed bag of emotions, from emotional exhaustion to feeling pressure. It kind of all comes together
But there was
in
also
these
pressure to
exam
deliver
windows.
results. There was also
Right.
pressure to deliver.
Yes. 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 And I think there are still some systems or schools that offer incentives to teachers based on grades that students get. That is, I find that a bit problematic. Um, but yes, there are schools and systems that offer this, and as a society, I think there is so much that we lay on the doorstep of the teacher without understanding that the teacher is very much a nested individual within surrounding concentric circles of home, family, community, society, law, and so on. So you are very much part and parcel of what is happening, but the expectation is that you will function in isolation of all these and somehow create miracles in your classroom. And so it's like you're there to save, um, and create a whole new species almost of what happens in your classroom. And we forget that there are all of these surrounding influences. And so for the teacher to sit in with this, whether it's at a parent teacher meeting and you have a very hassled parent saying, I really want my child to do well. Why is he not doing well? But you've been giving him tuitions, and she has still not been performing. So whether it's batting those expectations to what is required of them, let's say maybe there is a senior management team there that says, well, last year only 10 out of 12 got distinction. What happened to the other two? We are a school that does 100% with distinction. So why so what where is the gap? What is that coming from? So at the parent level, at the school level, there are all of these forces that beat down on the teacher, and you enter your classroom and you're working with a whole different dynamic and energy of students and what they also bring in. But if you're looking at the teacher and being very much part and parcel of the system, you're looking at their understanding of self-efficacy. So if, for those of us who have been teaching for a while or who are coming from backgrounds of social psychology, you will remember the work of Bandura, who talks about self-efficacy and given us, cognitive theories. And he talks about self-efficacy, professional self-efficacy, as different from a general larger sense of feeling accomplished about things. And he talks about teachers, and he talks about the fact that he talks of mastery experiences that we get. And one of the most powerful mastery experiences that teachers have is this experience of success around children. That when a child achieves a particular grade or a high grade, that is there is a pride, there is a sense of pride, but that is also seen as a win for the teacher, and it affirms their sense of competencies. So when a child does not do well, or when a child is struggling, it also then begins to impact on your sense of self-efficacy. Am I doing enough? Am I good enough? What else is not happening? Being responsible for everybody's well-being in the class. So that begins to kind of weigh down. It's also that teachers are known for going over and beyond themselves with how much they extend of their energies and their time in helping kids. So you have teachers who are on WhatsApp, who you can call late in the evening, who will sit in there on weekends with no consideration of do they have personal lives or boundaries, what is their self-care about. But the notion is of this giving, generous teacher, and it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. And I'm glad that teachers here are being able to recognize that it's all right to then begin to come in with a few boundaries for self, to look at self care, and know that you're not required to be in this place where everybody's academic success is dependent solely and wholly on your efforts. But that understanding has to be held within, and it doesn't come with teachers who are just about joining the profession. I will find this with a little more experienced set of teachers where they've figured out, all right, this is what we can do, this is what the student brings. But for new teachers coming in, that sense of carrying all of this on their shoulders when they enter that classroom can feel quite a burden.
Thank you. Thanks, Neena. And again, a wonderful, metaphor that you draw, that, teacher being a nested individual. And therefore, the question is, do we stay nested, or do we develop the agency to, as Maya has written in the chat, that, summon up the courage and self-belief to counter the society's diktat? Maybe what it would look like, in a parent-teacher meeting where a parent comes with, 60% my child got, what will he do in future? And the teacher says, I think the future is bright. 60% is good. And, your child is very smart. He will do well. So, that would be a good scenario to imagine. But that brings me to the last question from my side, because I would like to leave time for others, and maybe we'll keep it short now. But what would it look like for schools to collectively push back on, pressure due to exams, and advocate for care alongside performance around exams?
I feel like I want to be able to say that there's some silver linings to what the pandemic brought in terms of the focus that began to happen with student and teacher well-being. And looking at aspects of care, at being sensitive and safe schools, and all of the great work that TTF does. So there is a lot more intentionality around being able to address some of these issues. What I feel is still a little stubborn is this feeling that achievement and care, it's either or. That's the kind of dialogue that seems to present itself when you're talking to educators. It feels like if we bring in aspects of care, would we then be diluting what is required in terms of rigor? Will it mean then that we're going to see students who are not going to be concerned about their marks? And if that happens, then the parents don't follow, which means then there is a drop in admission numbers. And economically, it does not make sense for the school then to offer any program. So being able to shift that construct, that these are not either or situations, that these are very much alongside, and performance and achievement needs to be expanded in terms of how we view achievement and success as society, to also understand that all of our learning, and I'm shifting to like a neuroscience perspective, which is something that I feel so passionately about, that all learning happens in social and emotional contexts. So if the child is coming into classrooms or schools where they don't feel a sense of safety, connection, belonging, sensitive adults, if that care is not present in those systems, then learning is anyway going to be taking a backseat. Okay, so we have all of our social emotional learning frameworks. For example, Kessel's work that's out there that has actually demonstrated that student achievement scores actually go up even like 11 percentiles when there are elements of strong care and pastoral, looking out for students within school systems. So schools need to sign in to this at at the basic. You begin from there. It's not an add-on. It's not we start with the academics and then somewhere along we'll throw in something on life skills, or just do like a band-aid kind of training maybe for the teachers, and it doesn't work that way. So at a philosophical level, schools have a place to create change, and I'm completely echoing what Maya put out there on that chat. Yes, it does take courage. How many schools can do that is a question, but collectively there is a space to argue back for the fact that children in our care require more than what we are showing up with right now as communities and as a society. So being able to hold some of these aspects of care means that we think differently around what are our metrics for achievement in a class. Besides a quantifiable number, what else is seen as a mark of success? Is well-being also seen as a mark of success? And pushing those kinds of conversations out, I feel schools collectively can begin to engage in these conversations. I cannot say that these are easily won, but I feel there is a lot more thought that's happening, and I think that's exciting.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Neena, for sort of bringing closure at a very optimistic thought. That yes, there are schools out there, there are individuals out there who are embracing their agency, in terms of not just catering to what is going on, but rather taking a stance and countering the narrative as well. And especially in the times we live in, where we are losing young lives almost on a daily basis to things like suicide, depression, because of pressure of exams and academics. So thanks for that. And I will now keep the forum open for Q&A from our participants. I think one question has already come, which is, what can teachers do to calm parents' anxieties? So of course, they are rightfully concerned about their children's success, but so much of their concern borders on paranoia. It's almost as if they want to shield their children from all forms of failure. So this is what the participant has said, and therefore the question: how to manage parents' anxieties.
Manala, there's also a question about can you speak a little bit in Hindi?
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah.
And Rahul ji, आप हिंदी में प्रश्न पूछ सकते हैं, क्योंकि मैं हिंदी में वार्तालाप जरूर कर सकती हूँ, लेकिन यहाँ बहुत लोग होंगे जो शायद ज्यादातर इंग्लिश समझेंगे, लेकिन आप प्लीज हिंदी में बात कीजिए, हिंदी में प्रश्न भी पूछिए, और हमारी कोशिश रहेगी कि हम आपको हिंदी में जवाब भी दे सकें. Yes, Neena. So coming to the question, how to manage parents' anxiety?
Yes. I was just reading that again. And there are actually two things that are coming up for me when I'm looking at this question, Manila. One is, of course, the parent anxiety and what is the teacher role around that. The other one, which is actually very different, is the shielding of children from all forms of failure. Okay, and that's a whole other question by itself. And I'm going to start with the second one, which is shielding from all forms of failure. And I think that's a fairly astute observation that we're picking up from quite a few parents right now. This feeling that we have to cotton wool a lot of my child's engagement with the world. And as much as possible, I need to flatten out things, level playing fields, and I cannot get them to be exposed to any kind of, distress or hardship. So as much as possible, let's do what we call the snow plowing. It's the technical term around this is the snow plowing, which is leveling it so that you don't experience distress. Which has also meant that some of the things that children are required to work through, they are not being actually exposed to some basic levels of struggle that gives them a sense of resilience and coping. So you will have parents coming into school and saying, but my child deserved better, but you gave him only 79 when he should have gotten 92. And if you don't do this, he does not get in anywhere. So the kind of negotiating on behalf of the child, that's happening a bit. And I think that is a genuine struggle for a lot of schools and teachers working with sometimes what can feel like very unreal parent expectations around what teachers can possibly do. With how you calm parent anxieties, a good place to begin with is feeling like you don't have to fix it. We come in thinking that we are required to have the answers or solutions, and these are very complex problems. So begin with this recognition that I don't have to fix it, that if a parent is coming in with a certain level of anxiety, they perhaps just need a space to be heard. It's probably also that they have no other avenue or place to safely park any of these anxieties. You cannot possibly go and tell your sister whose child has just now got into an Ivy League about how scared you are your child may not pass or who's not doing well. There is no context for that. So then this becomes a safe space. And a lot of our research shows that schools in India are very much akin to proxy clinic settings, mental health settings. They take on the role of counselor, guide, and so on. The teacher offers that place. So there is a lot that a parent will bring in. And I think just being able to hear that parent out and to just say, I see where you're coming from and I hear your anxiety. And to let them know that they're doing the best that they possibly can. You will be amazed at how much that line matters to parents to just be told, hey, I think you're doing the best that you can. It's such a powerful validation of their parenting that they're not getting from society. They're definitely not getting it from their kids, for sure, who are at that 14, 15 and are not going to be giving them a whole lot of compliments. So hearing that from another adult who also works closely with their child is important. It also then allows for the fact that once those anxiety levels are feeling a little calmer, you can begin to actually talk about what about something is feeling you anxious. And when you say anxious, what are you feeling really in this moment? Are you feeling worried that they may not be able to finish something? Is it task completion, goal setting, how they manage their schedules? So breaking it down into specifics, because parents can come in with blanket big feelings. And so to break that down into, okay, I know my child can do this, and this, but when it comes to getting started, perhaps in the evening with their work or revision time, that's the one point that they struggle with. So when you have a little more specific quality to what it is that you're worried about, you can then begin to put in a strategy and say, okay, I get that that's what you're worried about. What do you think we could do together and call in the child and allow for them to also be part of figuring this out, that it's not just at adult to adult level. The child has to advocate for themselves and demonstrate some degree of agency. So involving the child and holding them accountable as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Neena, for that. Any more questions? There any more questions? Yeah.
Prabha asks, sometimes deteriorates and parents ask why.
Yeah. I think somewhere Neena addressed that, like if marks deteriorate and parents ask why, I think she answered, in one of my questions as well, that, teachers need to understand that they are not responsible for solely and wholly responsible for children's academic achievements. Neena, would you want to add anything to that? I mean,
Yeah. I definitely also think that for teachers, when they are out there, they're in the trenches, and they're your frontline people in the system, is that when a parent comes in like that, it can feel um, it can feel very judgmental for the teacher, because what the teacher is hearing in that moment is that somehow I seem to be responsible for this dip that your child is experiencing, or I am not doing enough. Teachers can hear that comment from a very personalized context. So being able to also then hold that the parent is coming from a place of anxiety, is coming from a place of stress, and this is what they end up projecting in that parent teacher meeting. So to know that sometimes teachers can be just in the crosshairs, it's not necessarily directed at them. So when I know that it's not a personal attack, and I can just hold this expressed emotion that this parent has put out there, and even just reflect that back, and just say a simple thing like, I hear that you're worried right now about your kids' grades. Tell me a little bit more about that. Is allows for conversation.
Yeah. So you're not taking like a flying arrow, at yourself. So, but I think that happens because essentially, belief-wise, a lot of teachers tend to believe that it is me, it is I who, kind of decides how my students will actually do in exams. Yeah. So with that, we come to the end of today's chat. And thank you so much, Neena, for that very insightful conversation. A very brave conversation to be had actually with teachers and educators in today's classrooms, which have changed, which have many different challenges, from what it was like in the past. So I would just like to end on a thankful note, that thank you all for holding this space, with openness, because yes, children need achievement, but they need emotional safety more. And in this, teachers remain the strongest protective allies. So, do follow us on YouTube. And before we close, I would like to actually read something, from one of the LinkedIn posts, which was made by somebody. I'm not quite sure if I should be reading, but somebody called Anish Kaushal, I think. And he wrote about the whole IIT coaching system that happens in Kota, and so many young people, either they lose their lives or, develop various mental health issues. And, so a few words I really, took away from his post, which was shared by Maya, are: in our race for marks and ranks, we're forgetting the human being behind the report card. It's time we stop raising toppers and start raising healthy, hopeful children. Let us build an ecosystem where success is not defined by a single exam, where mental well being matters as much as marks, and where every child has the freedom to become who they truly are. If we truly care about our children's future, we must first protect their present. So, on that thoughtful note, I would like to thank all of you. Thank you, Neena, especially for being here. Thanks to all of you who took out your time and have been present and engaging as an audience. And yes, do follow us on YouTube. You can see the you can see the code on my screen, so you can just scan it and you can sign up, subscribe. And yeah, we will be there next month as well on Friday, so do follow updates from TTF. We'll come back with another topic, but before that, before leaving the room, please take a moment to tell us what is your takeaway from today's conversation. Any comment, any thought, anything that you as a teacher, as an adult in a child's life, maybe as a teacher, maybe as a parent, would actually do something differently tomorrow onwards. Yeah. So please, use the chat and let us know. But thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Manila. Thank you, Maya, for having me here. See you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
See you.
Take
Take
care.
care, Neena. Bye.
Bye, Neena.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.